Welcome everybody to another Bus Slayers interview. We are here right now with, should I call you James or Jimmy?
So Jimmy James is, I suppose, what people call me. My real name's James, but everyone calls me Jimmy, or they call me James, or it turned into Jimmy James somewhere along the line, and it stuck.
I will roll with Jimmy James. Is fine with me. We're here with Jimmy James of Loaded Billy, and I know you have other stuff happening, but I do want to talk about the Legends record because it's massive and epic record.
Look, so we're very proud of that album. During COVID and lockdown, we really didn't have it. You'll have to excuse the flyers. Welcome to Australia. We sort of got put into a position where we weren't able to get out there and play live shows because, Loaded Billy predominantly is, we're a live act, and I think that's where our real strong point is the live shows that we put on. We put a lot of energy into our shows, and we try and make sure that the production level quality is up to a Loaded Billy standard. And so when we weren't able to do those shows, we thought, well, what the heck, we may as well go in the studio and become hermits for sort of 6 months there. And thank you very much. We're glad you liked it.
Oh, well, look, and I don't want to cut you off because I want to hear all about how you guys made the record and everything, but I got to tell you, I'm 45. Okay. So I grew up in a certain time period. I grew up listening to Dio. I grew up listening to, Winger. I grew up listening to, all the Scorpions. I grew up listening to Judas Priest. I grew up listening to classic Maiden, tons of Maiden. I grew up in my younger days listening to all the metal bands that, bands like Judas Priest and Maiden especially kind of changed the world, changed the face of metal, if you ask, in my opinion. Let alone Maiden still fucking going, on top of that.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, and it's like when I listened to your guys' record, it gave me the same vibe and feel of when I was a kid and I'd hear, a track on the radio. Remember when you were a kid? I don't know how old you were. When I was a kid, you hear a song on the radio, you go buy the record, right? And it was either a vinyl or a CD or a tape cassette, depending on the time period. But you go and you go for the one track and be like, oh, sick. And you go and, you go for the one song and then you go and you listen to the album and it was a whole experience, and listening to the Legends record gave me that same vibe. You guys have classic, just straight up classic metal, guitar tone, riffs, attitude, it's you sing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so I sing and I play the acoustic guitar on the album. And I couldn't agree with you more. We all grew up listening to vinyl, and always the thing I noticed is that one track always tends to scratch these days because we've listened to it so many friggin' times that it's worn the poor thing out. But we definitely had our influences from a lot of those bands that you suggested. So Judas Priest, the early Def Leppard stuff. Budgie were a massive influence to us, and I suppose we're not trying to reinvent the wheel, but we definitely, I suppose, we know our place. And we're a little bit older rockers. I'm turning 47 this year myself, so we're right around the right age group. Right. And back in those days, albums were different. They were listening experiences. They weren't just one song shoved on the radio to try and get airtime. It really was the whole experience where you'd sit there and listen to the whole album. And there was always a couple of songs on the album that you thought, okay, well, maybe they're not as strong as the others, but you always had a couple on there that were just absolute classics. And what we did over Loaded Billy had been together for quite a long time. Look, well over 10 years, and never really had the opportunity to get into the studio and to be able to, I suppose, cement those songs down. So it was an opportunity for us to not only lay them down, but we were able to also, I suppose, filter through the stuff that we know didn't necessarily work, and just try to keep the real cream and discard anything else that we thought, well, look, it doesn't deserve to be a legend, and, right. And that's where we're at.
Well, I mean, so that's an interesting thing that you bring up. The way that you put it makes it kind of sound like you guys, you did actually say you are predominantly a live band. And when you listen to the record, you can kind of tell because the energy on the record is there. Honestly, dude, you captured a good energy level on the album itself, to the point where you can listen to it and you guys will be a ridiculous live band. You do that on the record, to the point where I was actually wondering if chunks of it were recorded live or anything like that.
Yeah, look, definitely. So all the beds were recorded live for every song.
Yep.
Look, of course, there were overdubs that were put into places, and look, just I suppose from a studio / album experience, it gave us the opportunity to maybe put some of those extra guitars in, maybe a couple of extra harmony vocals, overdubs and stuff like that. But look, yeah, we really did try to capture that live experience and make a good, honest album,
Yeah, and it worked. You ever see that? You ever see the Def Leppard documentary? They did where they show how. Yeah, it's so good. So before it came out, I used to read about how how they tracked the record and all that stuff, and how they kind of blew all their minds when they were the producer was like kind of the genius behind half of that. And I forget his name right now, but the guitarist of that band was guitarist of Def Leppard was just ridiculous. But you guys definitely, captured that live energy super well on the record, but you also captured, like, for me, it was like I said, I got the same feeling. So it was kind of like, for people that love classic heavy metal, and I've seen all those bands, like I've seen Scorpions live, I've seen Motley Crue live, I've seen fucking, a bunch of them, and when you listen to your record, it's like, yeah, these guys are going to just crush it live. But here's my other thing is also the way you put it made it sound kind of like you never really got to record them in the studio. So you started off as like a live band and have been playing, but didn't really put this together until now.
Correct. So look, Loaded Billy has been on a very long journey. Look, I'm probably it's a bit Spinal Tap-ish really, but look, I'm probably about I think maybe the 5th singer or something like that.
Oh, really?
And look, to no fault of the singers, look, they've all been excellent singers. Right. It's just they all had to move on. Like the original singer was from Scotland and ended up moving back to the UK. I think the second singer was from New Zealand, ended up moving back home as well, and look, so on and so on and so on.
Right.
Look, in saying that, I've been with the band for I think almost about 7 or 8 years now, and so it's. Yeah, look, the foundations were all already there, and look, admittedly, from my perspective, a lot of the hard work with some of these songs had already been done, and I was able to slot in and just continue the legacy. As well, probably the last 6 months or so, as we've been doing a few live shows, we have been in the studio quite a bit and recording some new songs. So I can't wait until we get to release those as well. Just we figured, well, why not? We've got a lot to say. It's been way too long us not putting the music out there into the world, and we thought, well, it's time.
Yeah, and it is time, dude. And you know what? I think you guys probably made this record and probably were, if I were a part of this record, I was listening back, I'd even if I were, an awesome guitar player or something like that, I would still kind of be taken back and a little blown away that I was a part of this record. And so you guys probably had so much fun doing this, And not to say it's not hard work, because it's a lot of work, but I'm sure you guys had
It's
a
a
fun
lot of hours.
Yeah, but you guys had lots of fun doing it, and you came out with a real, actual, like a real album. I don't know how else to put it, but it's like I said before. You listen to an album, it's an experience. You guys came out with a real album.
Thank you.
Crushed it. Cindy crushes it. You know, everyone in the band. The energy is the reason why I asked if it was recorded live. Even the base of things, to an extent, is because it feels like everyone is feeding off of each other energy wise, and that's why it has the live performance vibe that you kind of captured there. So that's excellent. And tell me about the new stuff. What's coming out, if whatever you can tell me.
Yeah, look, so we've got look, it's probably at, I'd say, an EP stage at the moment. So we could release an EP at the moment with what we've done. We've look, I'd say there's probably 4 or 5 really hot Loaded Billy style songs. Look, it has evolved slightly. Look, as any album does, you know, it's the next step in our journey. But look, without definitely losing that, like I said, that Loaded Billy foundation, those driving riffs, big vocals, strong harmonies, and groove. You know, look, if anything, there's look, definitely. I suppose we've opened the floodgates a little bit more. It's not necessarily very Aussie / new wave of British heavy metal style. We've probably opened up to a little bit more of the heavy rock US style, as well as embracing some of the well, look, I wouldn't say, look, probably pop, but look, there is some of the some beautiful melodies and that kind of stuff in there that maybe wouldn't necessarily be included in the metal / heavy rock genre.
Right.
Look, we like genre bouncing. That's probably a good way to describe it. I mean, as you've listened to the album, it all hits heavy, though. You know what I mean?
That's the thing. It's a little eclectic, not super eclectic, but it's a little out there. But it all has edginess to it, and it all does hit heavy. And everyone just gives it their all on every track on the record. Your guitar player, the guitarist, is ridiculous. And you know, everyone, he's ridiculous. You guys, I think what it is you guys have. I think everyone in the band brings in a little bit different influences, you know what I mean? And I think because of that, you guys have something that has kind of its own bubble, like its own kind of atmosphere, but it still is like, for me, like that, this record was like kind of nostalgic for me. And I was like, yeah, these guys are, cause you guys hit that aesthetic ridiculously. And I was just like, wow, man, like, you know, but you can hear the different influences if you listen to the whole record through, which is the best way to listen to this record, obviously. And what about you? So with the new songs, do you guys come in and you guys writing them together? Does someone? Yes. Oh, you are.
So look, we definitely do the approach of someone may bring something to the table, and then we'll sit there and we'll just jam on that for a little bit. Someone might take that away, do a little bit more to it, bring it back, and then someone else might screw with it a little bit. And look, as we're flying through that, you know, someone might have an idea. We'll jot that down. Look, some of them work, some of them don't work. Okay, we'll go back and look at it's a bit of trial and error. You know, that's just the way that we write songs. And look, by the end of it, it usually grows into something big because look, obviously when we do write those songs, we've got something to say. We're not shy on doing songs that are potentially good 6-7 minute songs. Really let them evolve. Grow organically, and look, that's always been our approach. Is that look, if anybody in the band has anything that they want to put into the abyss, look, it's always welcomed. Whether or not it stays there or not is always a group decision. You know, it's
right.
But as long as they're strong, they're enjoyable, relatable. It's another thing that we do like to do is to try and make our songs relatable. Look, especially from from a lyrical point of view.
Yeah.
Look, as you may know, look, the album, the Legend album, was semi-conceptual. We took a little bit of hiatuses in there just to throw out some really
Bangers.
cool stuff. Like
Yeah.
Swamp Moon was mainly directed at the internet and the influences that it has on people today. The Devil in the Tin was all about a tin mine in Peru, and basically the mining companies went in there, gave an indigenous group of people over there a whole heap of alcohol, introduced alcohol, drugs, and it absolutely decimated the community. And basically what the mining company did, they leveled this mountain and there was absolutely nothing left. And of course, once the big company had finished their mining, they pissed off and
Moved on.
and basically left the people to their own devices. And they were beautiful people. And so look, from that to the actual storyline, where I suppose it's a little bit Romeo and Juliet of modern time, star-crossed lovers that bit off a little bit too much. And look, let's just say the story doesn't end well for him.
Yeah. Well, I think that's cool because that's part of having a record like this, having a full album like this, is you have stories to tell, and the cool thing about the lyrical points of view is that people can take them in different ways. I had no idea Devil in the Tin was like that. Exactly what it was about. So it's a cool thing that, and that's kind of a great thing about just any music, I guess, in general, right? Is like people can kind of take it in certain ways. They can think of their own personal situation, memories of their own, or thoughts of their own can pop into their head as they're listening to them. Every person is going to take certain tracks differently, especially lyrically. But one thing you brought up really quickly that I actually was going to bring up before too is that this is a huge record. Like it's 11 songs. It's 11 songs, right? It's 11 songs. Yeah. And like half the tracks are like 6 minutes or 5 minutes and 5 minutes and 50 seconds or 7 minutes, close to 7 minutes. More songs than I would think, than you would imagine, are these big lengthy tracks, and that is also part of why you get like this full hour kind of experience of a record, So it's obvious to me you guys put, a lot of, just a lot of like, love into it, to be honest with you. You guys went in and rocked it out and you had fun. It came through and you weren't shy about, topics. You weren't shy about, this has to be constrained to this box when you guys create the music and record the music. That's all evident on the record. And, hopefully on the new record, you guys have some of that on there too, on the new EP. That's, so when you guys have already begun recording that new record?
No, not yet. We're just about to go into pre-production for it. So we're just about ready to go in the studio. We'll put everything down, have a listen to it. Okay, maybe go from that point. Okay, are there any changes that we could make to it? Any tweaking, like that 1-2% stuff, and then we'll go in and then record it properly.
Cool.
We're still just having fun playing it and listening and going through the motions at the moment. So, look, I'd say it's still probably a good year, maybe even year and a half. Look, we are in absolutely no rush to release anything unless it's of the same quality of the Legend album. So.
Yeah, see, this I love about you already, about you guys, is like you guys are all quality. You know what I mean? It's got to be up to a certain standard, and I love that because a lot of times you don't always get that. You have people that feel like they're kind of pressured to release stuff, so they put it together a little too fast, and the quality kind of goes down there. But you guys are all quality. Plus, this is not an old record, so it's not like it's like, okay, well, we got to hurry up and release something right now. What about what about for you in particular as a vocalist? Because you're the one I'm talking to right now. Maybe use back for some of the other guys too. But as a vocalist, as a musician and a vocalist, being in bands and stuff, I'm sure this is definitely not your first band. What bands influenced you? Like what? Give me your top 5. Okay, I know this sucks, right? I know. But
no, for sure. But
top 5 influences that it doesn't have to be just singers. It could just be bands that you heard that you, when you were a kid, that changed your life, or that you're doing now? Like, give me your top 5 that for you. What do you think?
Okay, I'd have to say Budgie at the top of the list.
Okay.
Look, not only was look, the fact that they were 3-piece, and just to be able to create such a wall of sound and have so many riffs. I mean, I still can't believe that there's people out there that have absolutely no idea who Budgie is.
Yep.
Look, Pink Floyd, definitely. I love the light and shade, the dynamics, Mr. Gilmore on guitar. Look, that guy was the epiphany of never overplaying, never underplaying, just playing that right syrupy, just the right palatable amount.
Very well put.
Look, without a doubt, I'd have to say Def Leppard. When I heard Hysteria as a younger kid, and the level of production that they had in that album, just
totally.
I'd never heard anything like it.
I have somewhere around here. I've got this cassette of it still somewhere, but I swear to God, if I thought it was right here actually, but I have a little one. She might have grabbed it.
Look, I'll make you a bit jealous here. I was actually lucky enough to meet Def Leppard when they came out to Australia on tour, and they signed Hysteria for me, which was on vinyl, obviously. So look, I'm a bit of a vinyl junkie. I got a couple of thousand vinyl at home, so
wow,
it is what it is. I've been lucky. I never stopped collecting vinyl. So
don't ever stop. I have a very good friend. He's my best friend actually, and he's a vinyl collector as well. He's got, I think, 1,600 right now. And his apartment's just walls. He's got like 2 walls of vinyls, or like a wall and a half, I'd say, of vinyls, and it's all alphabetical. I think it's alphabetical, but he's got a bunch of stuff. But but I agree with you that, first of all, great influences so far. I agree with Def Leppard, especially the Hysteria record being an album that I heard for the first time, and I couldn't believe, like, I've never heard anything that kind of sounded like that before, especially vocally, how those vocals were layered, you know what I mean? And how big they fucking sounded, and like how he had so much kind of his own like weird swagger, like the way he did his vocals. Sickest record, and it blew me away as a kid. The cassette that I have 2 of them actually. One of them is from when I was a kid, and the other one is a newer one that I actually play. But anyway, I digress. Keep going. That's a great.
No, that's all right. So look, there is an Australian band. I don't know if you've heard of them, called Baby Animals. It's fronted by a female vocalist. Her name is Susie DiMarchi. Look, I tell you what, 2 songs to start off with, to get a real good, honest taste of what Baby Animals were. One of them is called Rush You, and another song is called One Word. Have a listen to those tracks, and you'll be.
One Word by
I think actually back in the day, Susie DiMarchi was dating Nuno Betancourt from Extreme back in the day, and look, whether or not he had something to do with the album, or whether he inspired or play on some of the albums, look, I'm not 100% sure, but got great guitarist named Dave Leslie. He's another Aussie, so he was definitely a big influence in heavy rock. Right. And so what are we up to now? Is that like
Nuno Betancourt was Nuno Betancourt. What's that?
He was a guitarist for Extreme.
Extreme, yeah, dude, that dude's ridiculous. You know what's so funny? I gotta tell you a quick funny one, because I actually watched an interview with him. It's like a clip. It was like a clip of an interview, and he was much older, and they got back together to do like a tour. You know, they got back together.
I got to see that tour. It was killer,
dude. So he's like sitting there. He's got a guitar in his hand in the interview. And the guy, he's talking to the guy, and Nuno Betancourt's literally sitting there going, I don't know why I soloed so much. He's like, I just felt like I was so young and crazy that I just had every spare second had to be shredding. And he's like, now, I mean, he's like, I can do it, but man, I was crazy back then, just throwing solos in every 10 seconds. That dude was is an insane shredder, Nuno Betancourt. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry. So that's
all right.
that's four. We got
something probably a little bit more modern. Slash, Miles Kennedy and the Conspirators have look. I mean, between probably more so Miles Kennedy and what Miles Kennedy's done, not only with Slash and Miles Kennedy, but also what he's done with Alter Bridge as well. Look, that guy's vocal just blows me out every time.
Oh, is he the dude from Alter Bridge that sings?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So I don't know if you know him or not, but
no.
So look, Miles Kennedy, the guy from Alter Bridge, also sings. He has a show with Slash from Guns N' Roses called Slash, Miles Kennedy and the Conspirators. Look, quite popular here in Australia. They've done, I think, maybe 6 albums. And look, I have not heard anybody, look, not that he rips off Axl Rose, but look, he's got oodles and oodles of range that's reminiscent of Axl when Axl was able to hit it like Axl could. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And look, those guys are absolutely amazing. So look, they did a couple of albums to maybe look at. R&F&R was a collaboration album, and I shit you not, man, they had everyone from Ozzy Osbourne to Lemmy. Look, Ian Astonbury on there. From The Cure. They even had Fergie on there, and actually she did a half decent song with Slash called I think it's Beautiful Dangerous. Great film clip as well. Check that out.
Wow. It's like an all-star record type of thing.
Look, definitely. And that was when he discovered Slash discovered Miles Kennedy and said, "Look, shit, we gotta do a band."
Yeah, because I'm Slash, I could call you up.
Well, look, let's face it. If Slash says, "Come play with me," you go play.
You go to fucking play. Yeah. Wow. Well, those are crazy influences. When I go back to this, I'm gonna go write all that stuff down and go check a bunch of that stuff out because there's a few in there that.
Cool, man.
Yeah, dude, that's very interesting stuff.
And of course, look, Sabbath. Mwah.
I mean, that's a given. That's a given. So great influences, man. So all right, let's see. Okay, so you're getting ready to go in the studio. Got a new EP that you guys are working on. What about live? You are playing live right now, right?
Yes, we are. We've got about look. We're planning on doing a little bit of touring, probably mid next year, going over to the eastern states. So maybe going over to Sydney, Melbourne. Look, we definitely feel as though that's achievable for us at the moment. Look, trying to get 5 members, sound engineer, look, roadies, all the above together at the one time to be able to do a trip over there. Look, it's been difficult, but look, we've got about a half a dozen shows coming up here in Adelaide at a couple of premier music venues, the Gov and the Woodshed, which is a relatively new venue, but it's look, they're both definitely looking after the heavier elements of original music here in Australia. Look, Australia at the moment is it's cover central, or it's tribute. It's tribute central. I don't know what it's like over there at the moment, but they seem to be the ones that are really getting a lot of the local pubs and clubs. So for us to get a specific venue that's not only a good venue, has good sound equipment in it, all of the above to be able to put on a show that we like to do. Look, it's been a little bit harder over the last couple of years. So big shout out to the Gov, big shout out to the Woodshed.
Yeah, awesome, dude. Yeah, that's a big thing for me. It's like I hope you guys are like just always continue to play shows. Doesn't matter where they are, man. Just because that's where you guys is. Obviously I think that you guys have found like a new kind of special place in your heart for the recording studio, and you guys are obviously excited. I can tell just by talking to you that you're really excited to go back in the studio and do that because you're putting something out there that's, that I mean, when you think about like an album like Hysteria, you know what I mean? It's like, all right, cool. I'm going to put something into the world now that's on record. You know what I mean? Like that's a big thing, just like Legend is. And it's like, I think that you guys should do both of those because I know that you guys are a live band and that's where you thrive. But it's a different it's a different
Yeah,
animal.
sorry, hold on a sec. We just got I don't know if you can see that in the background.
What is that?
It's an old bomber.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Look, we've got airfields around here, so every now and then, like we'll see like a 1940 style plane just scream past, and look, every now and then some of the big bombers and that kind of stuff will go by, because they've got like old biplanes, your twin, So like I say, great place to live down here, but it got really friggin' loud all of a sudden, so I couldn't hear you.
Oh, sorry about that. Well, I was just kind of going on about how I think that you guys should, you have a newfound love for the studio, but you guys are always thrive as a live band, and how the energies and those two things are different from each other, because when you're playing a show, you're kind of feeding off the crowd a little bit too, and it's a different like little adrenaline rush than it is in the studio. But the studio also has its adrenaline rushes as well for a band like you guys, because you're doing something bigger and it's something that's kind of everlasting. You know what I mean? And I think that that's a really important thing for a band like you guys to keep at both of those aspects and just kind of never stop doing that. So basically, so I think that we've covered a lot of good ground. We know what's coming up next. We know you guys are playing shows. You guys are loving the studio records. We got some influences, dude. I think this is going to be a really good one to put together. Is there anything that you want to throw out there at the end here? Or?
Yeah, look, definitely. A big thank you to Wormhole Death Records. We got recently signed, and they're definitely doing their best to look after us. Look, I know we're just because we're so friggin' far away from the rest of the world. Look, at the moment, touring across the US or anywhere over across Europe, it does seem like it's a little bit far from reality, but look, at the end of the day, it's not all about us touring. It is about us trying to share our music with people of the world. And look, so big thank you to Buzzslayers for helping us try and keep the people listening to good music.